guys, what's happening? Thursday, March 5th. Had a pretty big week this week. Started off the week at Super Pawn here in Grand Forks. I've been trying to track down one of these for a little while, and I know it's not particularly rare or valuable or anything, but this is my favorite game for the N64. Picked up a copy of Blast Corps. More on the N64 in a moment. Then a relatively rare but not expensive title. This is Fist of the North Star. I know they have those new ones. Fist of the North Star for the Nintendo or the NES. Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage for the 360 right now. I think they're on the PS3 as well, but I'm not sure. Like I said, this one's relatively rare but not expensive. I see a loose copy goes for like 10, 12 bucks. Then for the Xbox 360, The Last Remnant, I have played a little bit of this before. Like I said, I've been a little more patient with JRPGs because I've been getting back into Magna Carta, which isn't a traditional JRPG. There's still real-time combat in there, and everything operates on cooldown meters, where if you overheat, you're out of the battle, so you have to make sure that you just don't go in and button mash. You have to be strategic about your attacks. So The Last Remnant and Lost Odyssey will definitely be getting a whirl in the near future here. Then I grabbed a couple of Genesis games. Starflight, absolutely brilliant space combat, strategy, action type game. It doesn't have the manual, so I'm going to try like you wouldn't believe to track one down. I gotta believe it's pretty hard to find, but the cart is in great shape. The inside is dusty. All three of these Genesis games are kind of dusty that I got, which leads me to believe they were in someone's closet or someone's like storage unit or something to that effect. Next up is eSWAT, side-scrolling shooter. A lot of fun. This one is actually, this one's actually 25 years old already. The case is a little worse for the wear, as is the artwork. I'm going to keep it so it's slowly starting to separate from the box. It looks like it has like condensation damage, like it was just left in a damp area of someone's house. And last but not least, from this Genesis lot, this one game made the entire pickup worth it in terms of collection, but also in terms of getting played. Shinobi 2: The Revenge of Shinobi. This is complete. The hang tab is in great shape. I know a lot of Genesis collectors, if they buy a game complete in box, they want the hang tab to be there. It makes no difference to me. The cart is a little worse for the wear, but only at the grips. There's a lot of drag on there. That's because those teeth right there that sunk in are oftentimes really snug. But I got that entire lot of 6 games here from. A lot of this stuff had just come into the pawn shop, so they said, give me 30 bucks. So Last Remnant, eSWAT, Starflight, Blast Corps, and Fist of the North Star for 30 bucks. A pretty good pickup for $30. Here's another good pickup. If just random stuff for $1. I got a case for Sonic 2, and I have a Sonic 2 cart around here somewhere. There is no game in this one, nor is there a game in James Pond 2, codenamed Robocod. This was just a case only. There you go. But for $1, I wasn't going to complain. If you're asking why did I get this for $1, the gentleman who I bought them from was cleaning out a storage unit or won a storage unit auction, something to that effect, and he said, I don't know what to do with these. I can't imagine I'll get much on trade for them because some of the stuff isn't there. And he's right. Nothing here is amazing. This is probably the toughest to find game, and even this isn't very valuable. Metal Dungeon for the Xbox. I do not have it, so I'm going to hang on to it. I do need to track down a manual. Interestingly enough, for being thrown into a storage unit and a lot of this stuff in random cases, the discs are in pretty good shape. So, Metal Dungeon, Medal of Honor Frontline. Now, might look at first glance like the original Medal of Honor Frontline. I have a feeling somebody headed over to the cover project and printed themselves a copy. At first glance, it wouldn't really throw you off, but once you flip it over on the back and see everything is blurry and fuzzy, They obviously printed this off from the cover project, but used low print quality settings. I don't have a problem with them going to the cover project, but if you're going to do that and create a sort of fake, I guess, you should probably put in the effort to use some high print quality settings and maybe a little bit higher quality paper than there is the Sims 2 for the sorry, not the Sims 2, the original Sims. Cases again, worse for the wear, but man, I looked at this stuff and I was just amazed. The disc has got some smudges on it, which can be cleaned up, but it's not scuffed up. There's Finding Nemo for the PS2. Those last two will get traded off, as will this next one. Borderlands for the PS3. This has also got a printed cover. And last but not least, the original SOCOM Complete. Like I said, all that stuff was for $1 because the guy pulled it out of a storage unit auction, if I remember correctly, and he wanted to give it to me, and I was like, well, let me give you $5, and he was like, I can't, he actually said, I can't rightfully take $5 because even I don't think it's worth that much. And he openly admitted that he didn't know enough about video games. I think $10 would have been a fair price, just for everything that's here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 games and 2 Genesis cases. If I would have given, that would have been $1.25 a piece if I would have given them $10. But as it stands, I paid 12.5 cents for each thing here. Nothing, like I said, nothing amazing, and most likely nothing I'm gonna keep except for the Genesis cases and Metal Dungeon. So I got all that. Then I went back around, and as I've told you before, thrift stores have been pretty picked over lately. Started off at Goodwill, absolutely nothing. Still have a bunch of Connect bullshit. I say bullshit because there's, aside from the Adidas My Coach game, which I remember was getting good reviews as a fitness game. Whatever, you know, I said in the last video, if I'm going to go work out, I prefer to ride bike. I prefer to be out walking, and as it stands with the routes I do for the Grand Forks Herald, I walk 13 miles a day, so I don't really care about coming home to play a video game and work out that way. So, after Goodwill, went over to Salvation Army and actually made a massive, massive haul over there. Lots of decent stuff and one really cool thing. First up, for the Wii, I got Gormity Lords of Nature. It appears to be sort of a action brawler type game. It's I don't really know much about it, but I noticed that when I looked it up and whatnot, see the average auction price puts it at $10 to $12. All of these were $4, so I'm not upset about that. Here's Help Wanted for the Wii, 50 wacky jobs. It appears to be like a job sim where you're out to save the world by performing these jobs and tasks. It actually looks pretty silly and probably might be a lot of fun, but some of these games were marked $4.99 and some were marked $3.99. So the nice old lady that works at the Salvation Army said, "You come in a lot, you can have them for $3.99 a piece." So that was nice of her. This is Destroy All Humans, Big Willie Unleashed. I know that I had a blast playing the original Destroy All Humans. I know the second one got sort of middling to bad reviews, and I didn't even know that they made a offshoot to the Wii. So I'm going to give this a try. This also goes for $10 to $12 on auction. This is probably the best or hardest to find title, and even then it's not that hard to find, but it's one of those, just like that Fist of the North Star game. It's getting rare. It's kind of rare, but not particularly valuable. But I'm glad to get this because I always wanted to play it. The only thing I wish it had was, or is, that this game included was the ability to play with a classic controller, and that is Spore Hero. I know that the Spore on the PC and the Spore on the, I think the Spore on the DS and the Spore on the Wii being that they were, I don't want to say dumbed down, but used for the limitations of the console that it was on. The DS, I believe, was the original one, or the other one, the mobile one, and the Wii. I think they fit better. I think the Spore on the PC never really lived up to its promise. But interestingly enough, I found this yesterday when I was out hunting, the same day that it was announced that Maxis Studios, the people who brought us SimCity, you know, one of the most beloved series in the history of gaming, was announced that the main Maxis studio will be shutting down. That's actually kind of sad. That's another one of those studios that EA has swallowed up and doesn't know what to do with. EA sees themselves in direct competition with Activision, which they are, but these big publishers that keep buying up these studios, like Activision. I know Neversoft has been absorbed into I think Sledgehammer Games. I'm not positive about that, but even they were absorbed before they shuttered the studio, and even the guys from Neversoft admitted that they'd probably outlasted their welcome. I read an interview about that where the founder said he couldn't believe they had lasted this long, and not in like a humble, incredulous way. He was just saying, you know, we haven't had a hit in a while. Where Maxis's fault was listening to EA and putting that DRM in the last SimCity game. If anybody thinks that was Maxis' decision, make no mistake about it. That was EA forcing that in there. The Maxis guys are old school PC guys. They had no intent of putting in a DRM like that. That basically crippled the game for the first 3 to 6 months. I think it was out. I know my good buddy Todd was furious. I mean, as furious as Todd gets. He's about as mellow a person as I know, but as furious as Todd gets. That was the thing that really made Todd mad. Was the server connection and server errors being down. So I got that stack of Wii games. Then this one's definitely a harder to find game, and definitely not as valuable as the other Viva Pinata games. This is Viva Pinata Party Animals. I remember that they made this into like a kids series. This has got, I don't want to say party games because it does have party games, and it has some competitions and whatnot. But this is definitely you know, a family kids game. But this is something I can hook up and play with my niece and nephews when they come up and visit. Low pressure, lots of fun type game, and it is becoming tougher and harder to find. Then I got Need for Speed Underground 2 for the Xbox. No manual. Disc is in great shape. I'll track down a manual. This is more of the street-based one. I know that Need for Speed really got back into it when Midnight Club took off. So yeah, this is one of those racing games again. The ones that aren't, you know, so based in reality that I have to know the braking ratio like you have in Gran Turismo, that sort of thing. I can't get that deep into it. Anyway, I don't have this. Need to track down a manual. Then they actually had a bunch of PS2 games, but 3 that really caught my eye. First up, Liberty City Stories, which is funny to me. Again, you know, they put the date on the price tag and it says 2/17/15. This was definitely not there last week, so I don't know if they price stuff and it just takes them that long to get it out front. I know it's staffed by a lot of people who are considerably older than me, you know, like late 50s, early 60s. So I just don't know if the Salvation Army doesn't have the physical manpower to do that, to get to constantly stock the shelves, which I totally understand. They, you know, they seem to get a lot of donations. That it seems between them and Goodwill seem to get the bulk of the big donations in town. Dakota Boys Ranch is in there too, but Dakota Boys Ranch must have donations from like somebody who buys overstock from like Target, because there's a lot of Target that RE brand that Target has for household items. But anyway, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. It is not complete. I'll track down a manual for it. It does have the map postery thing. Disc is in great shape. Needs to be cleaned up, as do a lot of things you find at thrift stores. But it's not beaten up in the sense that it needs to be resurfaced or anything. Then I picked up, then they had Soldier of Fortune Gold Edition. If I remember correctly, I was told that this one is kind of, or not kind of, it is really over the top. I do see that Ravensoft made this, and somebody called Pipe Dream Interactive, and Activision had their hands in it, but Majesco published it. So it is. I was also told that it was. When did this come out? I can't even remember when this came out, but and I can't tell by because there's a bunch of copyright dates on here. Judging by it, it's about 2001, 2002. I remember there was an uproar that this game was horribly racist, like after what happened with 9/11. So I want to play it just to see how bad it actually is. I've never played a Soldier of Fortune game, but I saw this sitting there, and for $4, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna jump in just to see how bad it is. And then, last but not least, from that Salvation Army haul, I have never seen this at a thrift store. I've only seen it once at Rock 30. And so to find this out in the wild, this also says $217.15. So I don't know if they're pricing it the day that it comes in and they sort it, or if the day that they put it on the shelf, because this was definitely not there last week, and last week would have been the end of February. So, but I'm super glad to get this. This is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Special Edition with the introduction and Sunday driver stuff. This is not necessarily rare because it is a Grand Theft Auto game, but this version is a lot tougher to come by than the standalone version. The case itself, the outside cardboard shell, has some shelfware, as to be expected with a cardboard case. I mean, it's cardboard. It's not. It offers a reasonable amount of protection from the elements, but you know, no matter how careful you are with it, it's going to get some dings on it. But it's otherwise in great shape, and it's complete. So for $4, I couldn't pass that up. I see this. The average auction price puts this at about $16 to $18, and in town here, the cheapest I've ever seen it for is $30. At any of the pawn shops or Rock 30, so that means to me that they don't see it that often, and it's kind of tough to find. So this is This is the special edition of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I see that they put on an Xbox version, which means I'm going to have to track that down too to complete my Xbox collection. But yeah, pretty awesome to find Grand Theft Auto San Andreas just sitting there. Went over to Rock 30, and I don't have it on me because I left it upstairs, but I got it. You notice that I wear a lot of different hats in these. I got a Legend of Zelda hat because they had a fitted Legend of Zelda hat, which is pretty cool. My head is kind of big. It doesn't really fit well with adjustable hats. They tend to dig into my my forehead a little too much to make it comfortable. And every time I've seen a Legend of Zelda hat, it's always been a trucker hat, and I don't like those. As you can see, this is a fitted New Era, little bit dusty, actually not dusty, it's got cat hair on it, and that's because of my pets. I'm actually going to grab him because sometimes you hear him rustling around in the background. There he is. I don't know if I can get him to look up. He's awfully cranky right now, but that's my cat Gandalf. We have another cat named Midnight, and a puppy named Buckley. Gandalf is extremely soft, but he's also really grumpy. Right, buddy? All right. Since you hear him rustling around, since you hear him rustling around from time to time, and I've said that that's him moving around back there, I figured I'd give him some camera time. So then, Rock 30, like I said, got a Legend of Zelda hat. Had a little bit of trade credit left, like I think 17, 18 bucks. So I picked up a couple of games for the 64 that I really wanted. That is Jet Force Gemini, another rare game. I don't mean rare in scarcity. I mean rareware video games. Blast Core, is also a rareware game. So Phil Spencer, if someone, I doubt Phil Spencer would ever see this video, but you guys own Rare now. Put them back to work on a Jet Force Gemini game, and not a gritty reboot, just a regular Jet Force Gemini or a Blast Core. Blast Core is by far my favorite N64 game. That's including the Zeldas and Super Mario 3D. And those Zeldas and Super Mario 3D, or not Super Mario 3D, Super Mario 64, never did anything for me. And I got Quest 64, which I know is not exactly the best RPG out there, but I had a blast when I played this when my old roommate had an N64. So you're saying, Nate, you got all these 64 games building up. What's the deal with that? Well, I'll tell you what the deal with that is. On a Craigslist find, I got this for $60. It has the standard jumper pack. The key thing to me is on top of the standard jumper pack, it came with a controller. And the controller actually had, I don't know if the person who sold this to me knew it was in there, because they probably would have tried to get a few more bucks out of it. But it has an official Nintendo controller pack for game saves and whatnot. And it came with a green official Nintendo controller, which, as I've said before, I don't really care for this controller. I don't like the way it feels in my hand, which is why, while I was at Rock 30, I picked up another Interact SuperPad 64. This is my preferred version. See, they've got the Z trigger where it should be, closer to your hands. That's the thing. I can't picture little kids playing this. So I got that. And the key thing with this N64 is it's a little worse for the wear, but it came complete in box. So I'm super duper excited about that. I like to have the packaging for all my consoles if at all possible. So yeah, it was a pretty big week. What the hell, I'll do a recap. So, from Super Pawn, I got Blast Core, Fist of the North Star, The Last Remnant, Shinobi 2, The Revenge of Shinobi, E-SWAT, City Under Siege, Starflight, here is the monster lot for $1, and that included Borderlands for the PS3, Finding Nemo for the PS2, The Sims for the PS2, Medal of Honor Frontline PS2, Metal Dungeon for the Xbox, SOCOM US Navy SEALs, or SOCOM 1 for the PS2, and then 2 empty cases, James Pond 2, codenamed Robocod, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And then the Salvation Army lot, quick recap. We got everything sorted into a bin right here, so it's kind of tricky to grab it all in one shot. Spore Hero for the Wii. Gormity, Lords of Nature. Actually, there's an exclamation point, so it's Gormity, Lords of Nature! Help Wanted, 50 Wacky Jobs. Destroy All Humans, Big Willie Unleashed. Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. Need for Speed 2 Underground. Viva Pinata Party Animals. Soldier of Fortune Gold Edition. last but not least, from the Salvation Army lot, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Then from Rock 30, Jet Force Gemini, Quest 64, another Interact Super Pad 64, and my biggest find of the week, a Nintendo 64. I am going to get that hooked up and play some Blast Corps and Jet Force Gemini. I might do a live stream of both. Remember, I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers. Once I do, I will get, the winner will get a year of Xbox Live, a year of PlayStation Plus, or a $50 gift card to the Nintendo eShop. So comment, rate, subscribe. If you do subscribe, leave a message down below. You can follow me on Twitter at bigangrynate. I'm working on getting a Facebook page up for my channel. But if you do subscribe, please leave me a comment down below. Tweet me at the Twitter handle at bigangrynate. And last but not least, I always have band t-shirts on. This is one phenomenal band that didn't get to be more than they were because of a horrible accident killing the drummer. If I have a feeling if they were still around today, they'd be regarded as one of the Pavement, the influence they would have on the current indie scene. But this is a Silkworm t-shirt, one of my favorite bands ever. So thanks, guys. Check out Silkworm. I believe their website I don't know if their website is still active, but it was silkworm.net. I'll look into it. Otherwise, I'm sure there's a Bandcamp for them at this point. But that was March 5th, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have something for you next week. And we will see you later. Bye.